Members of the People's Democratic Party National Working Committee engaged in a crucial meeting at the party's headquarters ahead of its 102 National Executive Committee meeting on Monday. The meeting is believed to be connected to the submission of the report of the party's National Elective Convention Zoning Committee, headed by Bayelsa State Governor Duye Diri, said to have been submitted to the NWC through the National Secretary. Present at the meeting are the Acting National Chairman, Iliya Damagum, National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, National Secretary, National Youth Leader, National Treasurer, National Organizing Secretary, Financial Secretary, Legal Advisor of the party, among others. The African Democratic Congress has told the Labour Party's vice presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Senator Dati Baba Ahmed, that his party's presidential candidate in the same general election, Mr. Peter Obi, was committed to the opposition coalition and urged him to join the former Anambra State governor. ADC described Baba Ahmed's criticism of the opposition coalition as personal opinions that did not reflect the ADC's position. In a statement signed by the party's Deputy National Publicity Secretary, Jackie Wayas, the ADC reaffirmed its commitment to unite opposition forces against the All Progressives Congress ahead of the 2027 general election. Baba Ahmed, during a television interview on Friday, accused the opposition coalition of deceiving Nigerians and claimed that the coalition was incapable of rescuing the nation from underdevelopment. He also expressed his intention to run alongside Obi in 2027. But in a swift reaction, the ADC stressed that the opposition coalition remains a collective effort aimed at presenting a credible alternative to President Bola Tinubu's administration. Joining us on Political Brief to discuss these stories is Arise Director News and Politics Editor, Sumna Sambo. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Show.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Dr. Abati. And good morning, Rufai.
Morning, Sumna. Morning.
Well, Sumna, let's start from where we left off last week. There was so much talk last week. We couldn't get to what you wanted to talk about, which was President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And the people saying, bring back our Goodluck Jonathan. They met at the Aminu Kano Literacy Center for Research and Documentation over the weekend. And Dr. Kiari, their spokesperson, was saying, oh, there is a lot of bad luck in Nigeria. They want their good luck back. And they also appealed to other political players, particularly within the fold of the PDP, of the ADC, and the NMPP, Kwankwanso, Amici, El-Rufai, and Waziri Adamawa, Atiku Abubakar, to step down and allow President Jonathan to emerge as a consensus candidate. You wanted to talk about that, so it's a story that has developed. But I would like you to tie that to the fact that today, the next meeting of the PDP is supposed to hold. As we speak, the Board of Trustees, BOT, of the PDP is meeting ahead of the next meeting at 2 p.m. Now, yesterday there were meetings trying to form a consensus. Now, the Southern Caucus that met in Lagos last week, what they have done is that they have zoned certain positions to the south. The most important is National Deputy Chairman, which they have kept in the south, Deputy Auditor General, National Secretary, Deputy National Secretary, and all of that, leaving that space open for a candidate from the south to emerge as the presidential candidate, because you can't have president and chairman of the party from the same zone. Meanwhile, there is a rift between Wike and Makinde, and Wike is saying, except what happened at the South-South Congress is recognized, they should forget about any permutations within the PDP, and that what happened in Lagos last week was unconstitutional. Now, please, could you help us unpack all of this? Who is going to win at the end of the day? Or is the PDP destined to remain permanently in the intensive care unit What should we expect today? Will the meeting even hold at all? With Nyesom Wike saying that if he does not approve of it, if it is not authorized, it will not happen.
All right, thank you, Dr. Abati, and you've also done some good job by unpacking all these issues. Let's start from Jonathan that you talked about. I mean, yeah, it's an ongoing conversation, and I can tell you, I mean, there are different political strategies that are ongoing ahead of the 2027 general election, and there's a particular group of northern apparatchiks that are actually calculating ahead of the 2027 election that if the South is not careful, it could be a very huge challenge. So this is the thinking among some of these top political leaders, that Jonathan will contest in the PDP. Peter Obi should go and contest in the Labour Party. President Bola Tinubu, of course, will continue in the APC. And of course, Atiku Abubakar will go ahead to contest in the ADC, like you would have heard him saying that he's in the race and fully in the race. And what does this happen? What happens out of all of this calculation? The idea is to actually weaken the votes from the South, and maybe potentially Rotimi Amechi out of anger too, also going out of the ADC to actually do something else. And by the time you tabulate the figures that will be coming out from the election, the South would be weakened by so many candidates that would have contested. And Atiku Abubakar will still be very strong in terms of the votes that he would have got. Because the idea is to push anything other than Bola Tinubu to Northerners, to sell someone like an Atiku Abubakar that is capable of actually dethroning Bola Tinubu. And of course, with the votes that will be coming out divided from Peter Obi, from Bola Tinubu, and all of that, you have a situation whereby there may be a likelihood of a runoff, and that will be a huge challenge. Now, getting back to the issues of Goodluck Jonathan, contesting, does he really stand the chance of getting the ticket? Well, the thing is, what I've learned from people close to Jonathan is that he has asked the PDP, people within the PDP that approach him, to go back and fix the party, to fix the Wike problem in the party. Now, they used to say that the PDP had an Atiku problem. Now Atiku is out of the PDP. Let them also go and fix the Wike problem in the PDP. And today, there are some decisive actions that will be taken. One of them that we are looking out for is the report of the Tom Ikimi-led National Disciplinary Committee. We hear that that report will be laid before the National Executive Committee meeting today, NEC meeting, and all those who betrayed the party from 2023 would actually be disciplined, or if they don't take a crucial decision, that action will be hot on the table, but then the decisions will be deferred. And let's talk about this next meeting holding. It's going to hold because they actually have an issue at hand, and this is it. The National Secretary of the party, from what I gathered, actually signed for the next meeting to hold in their letter to INEC, but refused to sign for the letter authorizing the National Convention to hold. And so the PDP NEC will be taking a crucial decision today, and we'll be looking out to see whether Samuel Anyan will be present at this NEC meeting. Because if the letter goes to INEC and there is no signature of the National Secretary of the party alongside that of the National Chairman authorizing the convention, then you will now go back to what Wike had said in his interview sometime last week, that he's waiting to see if the convention or not will hold. And his major grouse is actually that Dan Obi, who's the National Vice Chairman for South-South, has not been recognized by the National Working Committee yet after that Calabar meeting. And then, of course, Ali Odefa, the National Vice Chairman for the Southeast, is still being recognized while Wike is saying that that shouldn't happen. But then, most of the leaders are saying that they must have a party ahead of the 2027 general election, and some people within the Wike political camp too are already saying that Wike's high-handedness needs to be called to order. And so this is the assignment that Jonathan has given to them. Whether they can deliver before he takes his decision or not is left to be seen. But I can tell you that there are exciting times ahead of 2027 general election, and President Bola Tinubu and his APC has to be very, very calculative and careful. And we all wait to see how it all plays out.
Exciting times. I like that phrase. Exciting times come 2027. Let me talk about Dati Baba Ahmed and this call for him to embrace the ADC. And also, I think it's not contradictory for him to say he wants to run with Mr. Peter Obi in 2027, but does not want to join the ADC, where Mr. Peter Obi is at least in support of. And then you mentioned something about the PDP coming together. I'm really interested in that disciplinary committee report. We've been talking about it a number of times. Well, what do you think the outcome would be when Governor Seyi Makinde was there at the last meeting that they had in Lagos, and he was part of the G5, as well as people like Mr. Sambo Autumn. It's not just Nyesom Wike who is under the radar. There are other governors who are still very much a part of the PDP today who could have been, who could be said to have been, involved in party activities.
Well, for Dati Baba Ahmed, I've spoken with party insiders, and they said he should be ignored because, he's a political lightweight, and he doesn't really command the sort of influence he's trying to peddle around. And so they say he can't be a decider for Peter Obi as to what should happen or not happen. But Dati actually has some point here. Could it be that he's already seen the signals that Peter Obi cannot win the ADC's presidential primaries? That's why he's urging him to come back to the Labour Party. But then the question is, which of the Labour parties should Peter Obi come back to? Because despite the Supreme Court judgment and then, of course, a Federal High Court judgment, the Labour Party is still being divided. We've seen an injunction, a court injunction coming from a court in Nasarawa State insisting that candidates of the Labour Party from Abure's faction should be taken by INEC. But, well, INEC has not taken a decision on that. And so what still applies right now is that Abure is not the national chairman of the Labour Party for now. So, but it's left for INEC to decide whether he is or not. And if he becomes the national chairman, will Abure allow Peter Obi to come back and get the ticket of the party? And who are those? There are some people who are saying that Peter Obi must stand for a contest in Labour Party, if indeed that will happen. Can people like that mobilize enough votes for Peter Obi if he does become the candidate of the party, considering that he lost his polling unit, his ward in the last election? So people are saying that, if that really means well for the country, that he should support an opposition coalition. And with Atiku Abubakar insisting that he's going to be in the race, well, it's a really, really tough challenge for them. But I can tell you that it's a huge challenge ahead for both the Labour Party and the ADC. Because if Peter Obi does stay in the Labour Party, can he garner the requisite votes? Wouldn't he give, the support to what I said earlier, that there are some northern leaders who actually want Peter Obi to be in the Labour Party and contest on that platform? And you have an Atiku Abubakar being on the ADC, Bola Tinubu in the APC and all of that, so that the southern votes will be divided more, and then Atiku can see how he can have more votes from the north, and then either Atiku wins by a slim minority or they go into a runoff, and then, of course, it will be a huge decider. On the issues that we have in the PDP, the Tommy Kimi-led committee report is one that had been on. Don't forget, people like Otom had been summoned to come and appear before the committee at the Legacy House of the party in Abuja here, but he didn't. And so, Makinde seems to have been repentant, and he's saying that, look, the PDP must stand as a strong party. If you had heard his comment last week, he had said that if you review the outcome of the by-elections that were held, that PDP, where it didn't win, came second in most of the places. And so PDP is still like a darling of the Nigerian masses, and so the party must be put in top shape. He has been putting all resources together to ensure that the party is brought in place. And you will see that he has really done well, because he supported President Bola Tinubu in the 2023 general election as someone who comes from the southwest, wanting to do what Yoruba people call Yoruba Parapọ̀. That's unity of the Yoruba people to deliver President Bola Tinubu, including against his own candidates in the senatorial and House of Rep elections. But what did Bola Tinubu do? Did Bola Tinubu pay him back in his good coin? He didn't. No appointee from Oyo State into the Bola Tinubu presidency. And how did he reward them in Oyo State? He brought someone from the Accord Party to be the minister from that state. That is Adebayo Adelabu, who is the Minister of Power. Not even from PDP or from the APC. And so it's time for Seyi Makinde to also want to pay back to President Bola Tinubu. And you would have seen that from the Ibadan North Federal Constituency election that happened. Seyi Tinubu wants to be his own man. And he wants the ticket of the PDP too to show President Bola Tinubu that he can make an inroad into the 2027 presidential poll.
Anyway, let me just quickly just correct some things. Penkele Mess was APC on loan to Accord. So that was an APC person that President Tinubu brought into his cabinet. It was, in fact, it was the candidate for governorship of APC in the last election. It was because he had a squabble with the person that became the candidate of APC. So he's still an APC person through and through. So Accord was just a loan.
Of Accord party.
It was just a loan fringe party. He went on loan. You know, when a player goes on loan, he's still owned by the parents' club. So he's still owned by APC. So he just went on loan to Accord. But are we justifying hypocrisy by saying Seyi Makinde is repentant? A man that went against the grain of his own political party. What happened to being a party man through and through when it doesn't favor you? Because a lot of political watchers are saying, people like Seyi Makinde are now crying wolf today. He wants to fix the same PDP he helped destroy just in the last election cycle because it did not favor him. What happens to be a party man through and through? The other question I also like to ask is, are we not just supporting hypocrisy when we are quoting a court case from a Nasarawa court as regards the Labour Party after the Supreme Court have given finality on an issue that Abure faction has no role to play, and INEC has appended that in the last election? Because we forget that Abure faction also had candidates in the last by-election, but INEC said no, you have no right. And the candidate that were adopted were the candidate not from the Abure faction. And as regards that, Ahmed, have you snooped around to also understand that maybe Dati might have been pushed by some forces to say the things he's been saying lately as regards Peter Obi and trying to say to pretty much coddle the Abure faction? Maybe the puppeteers that are pushing Abure too are probably pushing Dati. Have you heard anything relating to Dati's even assets in Abuja? You know he has a big asset there. Have they been looking at him somehow based on his assets that he has in Abuja? Sources are talking.
Well, very interesting perspective you brought in place. I mean, there are talks here and there that there's an APC wing of the Labour Party, and then, of course, an obedient wing of the Labour Party. And we've seen those influences here and there, because some party insiders are actually accusing Dati Baba Ahmed of wanting to actually swing to the APC thinking of what the Labour Party should be ahead of the 2027 general election. But while he insists that he's still a dominant force and that he remains committed to Peter Obi, and that Peter Obi can only contest the election if he remains in the Labour Party. Because if he does goes to the ADC or PDP, there's no how he's going to get any of the ticket. Well, he may have his own point, because like I keep insisting, Peter Obi has never won any presidential primary of any major political party. You know what happened? He was just handed the ticket of the Labour Party in the last presidential election cycle. And so if he does stand in, either in ADC or Labour Party or PDP, this will be his major test at a national primary election. And so we await to see that. But party insiders keep saying that, look, Dati should actually just come to the ADC and support them over there. But while they keep insisting that Atiku Abubakar should step aside, he's too old, he can't lead. But Atiku, in his own wisdom, believes that, look, the best way to actually win the election 2027 is for him to be given the ticket, because he's the only one who can mobilize other political party leaders to win the APC. But talking about some of the issues that are happening, Seyi Makinde and all of that, yes, I mean, in politics, you can't be too hard at times. And sometimes you have to be very flexible to allow certain things to happen. And that's why I'm saying that ahead of today's NEC meeting, some party insiders that I've spoken with in the PDP said that they are prepared to sanction Wike today. In fact, that's what one of the elderly person said. That Wike's problem is becoming so much. And just quickly, Dr. Abati, that they are saying that Samuel Anyanwu has continued to stand on the part of those against the party and not discharge the responsibility of his office as National Secretary and discharge the oath of allegiance to the party which he took. And now Samuel Anyanwu himself is divided because he wants to stand for the Imo State governorship election. And the party's structure in Imo State, he will want to appropriate it. Now, I've heard that he has said that he wouldn't want to betray his friend, Nyesom Wike, for the second time again, like he did last time in 2022 when he signed Atiku Abubakar's papers to INEC when Atiku emerged as the party's candidate. And so he's divided whether to go with Wike or to continue to maintain his position as the National Secretary and go with the party and sign the document so that, you know, he doesn't make things hard for himself. So this is a very dicey situation. And if he doesn't take the right decision, I also hear that the NEC may take some strong decisions against the National Secretary of the party for not signing a letter to INEC for the convention to hold in November.
Now, I don't want you to overrun as you did last week, but just 2 quick things. The first is that we should be soft on Dr. Dati Ahmed. 2027 politics is still developing. Maybe there are peculiar situations that will still need to be accommodated, and those peculiar situations, we need to review their nature. If a man says, well, I'm still watching, I think the responsibility of the main party, the ADC, as it now is, will be to further, discuss with him. But I don't know whether you are going to be at the NEC meeting of the PDP today. Please, if you see Chief Olabode George there, well, please remind Chief Olabode George that in Lagos, this last weekend, almost all the big persons that are with him in Lagos, they have ported to ADCO, whether it's Adams or it's Chief Raman Owokoniran or Dr. Abimbola Ogunkelu or Captain Tunji Shele. Over 5,000 of them, came forward and said they have left PDP because PDP looks like it is an intensive care unit, and they do not think that it will recover even after the national convention. So just ask Chief Olabode George to check whether the troops are still behind him or is a general without troops. Well, that's up to you. You make the decision. Yeah. Just to remind him, in case he has not read the story.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting perspective. Well. I mean, so why don't you think that Bode George is just there in PDP, just hanging on and waiting for the right time before he actually moves to the ADC? Because if we would have seen those leaders who moved to the ADC, those are very, very top people, including Shele, like you talked about, former PDP state chairman. And you will see that actually the ADC is beginning to plan ahead in such a way that everything is building around Atiku Abubakar and for him to actually grab the ticket. And some people are also conversing that if Atiku does get the ADC ticket, and things go very, very well, that the PDP, in one way or the other, may be forced to support an Atiku presidential bid in the ADC. But the major problem of the ADC right now is that INEC has not even listed David Mark as the national chairman of the ADC. And Atiku Abubakar hasn't picked the party's membership form at the moment, though I hear that he'll be doing that next month in September. So it's a potpourri of issues, and we all await. But I can tell you, maybe Bode George is just bidding his time too before he eventually moves to the ADC and join Atiku Abubakar.
There's something you know that we don't know. But thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.